The Prime Minister then joined Trump at a rally aboard the USS Washington, where she got to hear him just rambling to our troops on a range of subjects, including magnets. He hates magnets. He hates magnets, windmills, and sharks. But he loves steam.
I want to know, catapults, which is better, the electric or the steam? They had steam, which works so beautifully. Steam, they said they can fix it with a hammer and a blowtorch. And I love the sight of that beautiful steam.
Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale, even a 5-year-old.
Two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his rating.
Trump's America has officially hit peak absurdity, the kind of season finale where even the writers are begging for a reboot. Somehow, J.D. Vance went from the guy selling "I Found My Soul" after leaving the Rust Belt memoirs to Trump's most loyal hype man grinning through every disaster like he's auditioning for the world's worst buddy comedy. And then came Jimmy Kimmel, who didn't just roast the duo, he dismantled them with surgical precision, like a man who's been holding in laughter for 8 years and finally lets it all out.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Ankles was back home at the White House tonight, handing out candy to children. One of the kids was dressed as, you can see him here on the right side, as a light-up marshmallow. And watch this, because this is something Trump has done in the past. Instead of putting candy in the bag, he puts it on. J.D. Vance is crushing it when it comes to policy.
How will we lower the cost of daycare? It's such an important question, Charlie. And I think one of the things that we can do is make it easier for family models to choose, or for families to choose whatever model they want, right? So one of the ways that you might be able to relieve a little bit of pressure on people who are paying so much for daycare is make it so that maybe like grandma or grandpa wants to help out a little bit more.
Jimmy Kimmel hilarious reaction on J.D. Vance's daycare solution. His plan to lower costs is to guilt-trip grandma into free labor.
Maybe there's an...
Kimmel didn't need a monologue this time, he needed a mop. Because Trump's marathon of nonsense was spilling faster than the campaign could print slogans. This isn't a partnership, it's a blooper reel on repeat. Trump talks, Vance nods, and America collectively cringes. Somewhere in the distance, a bald eagle files for asylum.
And when we run out of steam, we're going to oxen, big teams of beautiful oxen. He loves steam. And then he closed things out as only Donald Trump can.
J.D. Vance has become the human version of an old campaign bumper sticker, faded, peeling, and somehow proud to still be stuck on something going downhill. His loyalty to Trump isn't strategy, it's worship. He seems to believe standing next to chaos makes him look like order. But instead of rising, he's sinking, smiling all the way down like a Titanic passenger, insisting it's just a cruise.
For you, J-Dog, we're back on all the stations. Every home, every bar, every strip club, and every prison in America. But, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your bullshit. Go on.
There's something else that's important here, Laura, which is that these broadcast companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they enjoy the public airwaves because they serve.
Kimmel caught on instantly. He didn't just spot the hypocrisy, he put it under a spotlight like a late-night infomercial. In Trump's orbit, integrity is always the first casualty, coherence comes next. J.D. Vance's journey from critic to cheerleader wasn't a transformation, it was an exorcism of self-respect. He traded his spine for the spotlight, conviction for convenience, and applause from a crowd that cheers for anything wearing a red tie.
You know, we used to send the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders on these USO tours, and now we have this. Meanwhile, while Trump's slurping noodles in Japan were on day 28 of his big, beautiful government shutdown, air traffic controllers missed their first paycheck today. So if you are visiting us from out of town, you live here now.
Meanwhile, Trump is doing what he does best, performing the presidency like it's community theater. Every appearance is a production, every speech a one-man show nobody asked for. And now he's got J.D. Vance as his hype man, clapping offbeat, repeating the chorus even after the music stops. It's the political version of karaoke gone wrong, except the mic never cuts out, and the audience can't leave.
You know, if you go to a Jimmy Kimmel live viewing, you have to really be a humorless scold.
Did you hear what he just called you? He called you humorless scolds. What is wrong with you people? You trying to make JD's mascara run? What's going? A humorless scold. Who talketh like that?
Kimmel's takedown wasn't just funny, it was forensic. He dissected the illusion that Trump's chaos has purpose, or that JD's devotion has depth. The only consistent thing about this duo is inconsistency. One day it's law and order, the next it's whatever polls well. This isn't leadership, it's an endless open mic night at democracy's expense. Every time JD tries to sound profound, it's like watching a kid read a book report he didn't write. The metaphors crash, the morals vanish, and Trump still gets top billing.
Other than that, things were a little bit different this year because of the construction that's going on at the White House. They had to improvise a bit. They had to move around, and, you know, they want to get that ballroom finished. So they just went right ahead with the demolition while the trick-or-treating was happening. The kids had fun, though. The Department of Agriculture was there, and kids love that. Handing out mini pumpkins, and the U.S. Postal Service was there with a Be Best postcard station. They gave the children Be Best postcards. I didn't know Be Best was still...
The irony. J.D. Vance once branded himself as the reasonable Republican, the bridge between chaos and sanity. Now he's burned that bridge and is roasting marshmallows over the ashes. Trump doesn't inspire loyalty, he absorbs it, chews it up, and spits it back as applause. Kimmel saw through the whole act. It's not a movement, it's a codependent circus of self-preservation. Every Trump rally feels like a masterclass in emotional chaos. Recycled promises, rehearsed outrage, and slogans with expiration dates. And there's JD, smiling like a man who thinks he's part of history, not realizing future textbooks will skip his chapter.
Everyone needs to just crack open a Bud Light and relax already. Even the vice president took a break from humping his ottoman to complain about, not just me, you.
On Jimmy Kimmel's television program and on The Daily Show this week, you have audiences outright cheering, seeing the images of Teslas on fire across the country. And I saw that and I thought, man, that really is a sign of how much the left has conditioned people to think that that's acceptable.
Yeah, though I will say in defense of the American people, Jimmy Kimmel's show is so unfunny and boring and left-wing that it's...
Watching Trump and Vance campaign together is like seeing a magician and his assistant argue over who gets credit for the rabbit. Trump performs the illusion, JD claps first. It's not politics, it's performance art with a soundtrack of applause and confusion. The best part. Kimmel doesn't even need to invent punchlines, the headlines write them for him. His roast hit diagonally cutting straight through the nonsense. Trump's turned governing into branding. And JD's tagging along like an unpaid intern who mistakes chaos for mentorship.
It was a bigly busy day for the president this morning, or maybe it was last night, I don't know. He was in South Korea meeting with the president of China for trade negotiations, which, according to one expert who was there, went very, very well.
I thought it was a great meeting. I think it was a very friendly meeting. It was a good meeting for two very large, powerful countries. Overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12.
Wow, it's even higher.
Every campaign event now feels like deja vu in a new slogan. The flags wave, the crowd chants, the contradictions multiply. Trump calls it energy. Kimmel calls it reruns. And J.D. Vance looks like a man who lost an argument with his own reflection. The absurdity carries itself. Kimmel doesn't even have to shout. He just freezes the frame long enough for everyone to see the joke. Trump keeps rewriting the same scene with new props, new actors, but the same plot. Chaos disguised as charisma.
Archbishop of Canterbury? What? Go on.
There are these judges. Judge Boasberg comes to mind. Lots of judges who are trying to basically say the president can't exercise the powers of the presidency. You're an attorney. How do you assess the legal battles here?
Yeah, I bet all those judges are huge fans of Jimmy Kimmel, by the way. But I think, Vince, that, one, we have an appeals process.
Good one, JD. You shoehorn that.
Kimmel tears through the illusion with surgical precision. He doesn't exaggerate, he just holds up the mirror, and once you stare long enough, the reflection doesn't lie. What's left isn't a movement, it's a rerun of delusion dressed up as destiny. Every Trump press conference feels like a parody of itself. J.D. Vance plays the loyal understudy, never questioning the script. Reality's already outpaced satire. Kimmel just points at it and lets the laughter do the talking.
Trump visited several countries in Asia: Malaysia, Japan, South Korea. He avoided Vietnam just for old time's sake. But the big event was his sit-down with Xi. Just before their talk, Trump sent China a message. He announced that he's ordered the Pentagon to start testing nuclear weapons again. And that's right, if they won't give him the peace prize the regular way, he's going to take it by force. Reporters on Air Force One asked him why he decided to do this and why he decided to do it right before he met with the Chinese. And his answer was basically, I did it because they did it.
With others doing testing, I think it's appropriate.
In this theater of delusion, truth is treated like a heckler, something to silence, not confront. But Kimmel refuses to play along. He laughs where others flinch, deflating the myth of control with one well-timed joke. Trump can command a crowd but not credibility. J.D. Vance can echo his lines, but not make them sound real. Kimmel's comedy works because every punchline doubles as an autopsy dissecting a political body drained of sincerity. He's not mocking for laughs. He's mocking to remind that charisma can hide incompetence, and applause can camouflage decay.
Speaker Mike Johnson said there's nothing more Trump can do about the shutdown. The guy who's ended 8 wars, a man who has ended wars that never even started, can't do anything about this. Some Republicans are very unhappy with Mike Johnson, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who reportedly lashed out at him on a call with House Republicans. She said her party was letting the country down and demanded to know the Republican plan for health care, which Johnson refused to share because there is no Republican.
Kimmel exposes how Trump's America has become a franchise of chaos where loyalty is measured by how loudly you repeat the absurd. His satire cuts through that fog of blind devotion like a scalpel. Because the moment you stop laughing, the danger becomes real. Laughter becomes resistance, the only weapon left when logic no longer works. Kimmel doesn't argue with the cult, he deflates it. Trump's presidency has turned every failure into a PR spin, every scandal becomes courage, every lie becomes strategy. Kimmel just lets the absurdity collapse under its own weight. Because when everything becomes a show, truth becomes the final punchline.